the slimmest I've ever got my week to-doist ever. Nothing on Thursday, nothing on Friday, nothing over the weekend. My productivity just comes down to two tools and two tools only. And then
I use a text expander software called Text Expander. It's really good.
any tool that you use that's good for that is good. And the one that I use is Atext. The reason why I like Atext is just it's very simple. It's very easy. It's very easy to create something. Bam.
Yeah, actually, the interface is very similar to Text Expander.
Nice.
Then I have a version of this for my phone it's just keyboard replacement.
Yep.
Do you use that?
I do.
It's really good.
For the phone, and also could be used for your computer too if you set it up.
Do you have any good tools for like people and team management?
Yeah, for people and team management, usually it's going to be some kind of project manager tool. Monday, Asana. So project management tools, Monday is the most popular, but also the most expensive. Usually kind of looks the nicest. It'll be easier to kind of use. Asana we use that from one of our law firms. It works well. Trello is very similar to Asana. Smartsheet, it's more for like a Google Sheet alternative. I would probably not use that, so I'm gonna delete that. Taskade, which I don't hear about. ClickUp, which I hear about, is actually Basecamp. I've heard great things. One of my friends who manages a big team uses it. Hivedesk, Huddle, Zendesk, Podio, GitFlow, WordCast. But yeah, I think the top three are these three. Will do well.
There's another tool I'm starting to play around with, Microsoft Copilot. It's like a AI tool that works across all Microsoft platforms. It seems really solid.
Yeah, that's huge. It might be the best practical AI tools, probably Copilot and ChatGPT. So by far, yeah, I think everybody needs to be using these as much as possible. And the sooner you do, the more kind of competitive advantage you have. So yeah.
I'm also going to be working on implementing Microsoft Teams just across companies. So with our key suppliers and customers, create shared sites where we can have a project plan specifically for that relationship, assign tasks, share documents, communicate, of course. I think that's going to be really big. And for some of our suppliers, they could work with many people. But the more that we make their job easy and embed ourselves in their business, I think the better that we are.
Most of us, we use Slack for the most part, but Microsoft Teams will do for sure. And yeah, in the beginning, when I remember when Slack came out, obviously it's for your team, but I started noticing some people using it for their vendors. So yeah, for our ongoing vendors, we try to have instant communication with whatever that team is, marketing team, with the vendor.
Right. One of the biggest time savers I had recently was very big into SOPs. So I worked with a couple of VAs to create Outlook inbox SOP, where basically you triage, divide everything by different companies, divide by customer, highlight anything in priority. SOP, all the knowledge transfer becomes 10 times easier to the next person. So as I'm working to enhance the processes, I'm also documenting them so it's super clear, and in a way it also protects me in case anything happens.
Love it. Yeah, SOPs are a must. But if you love SOPs, Alex, I just texted you, describe how you will love this. I haven't used it too much, but I'm planning to. I got myself out of the weeds of creating SOPs myself. So now our managers and directors do. But if I were to create SOPs, I'll be using this, especially if it's a SOP that's related to something that you're doing online. Then you just hit record. It's a little Chrome extension. You hit record and you just go do it and you talk it out. And then you say stop record. And then it will basically, it's kind of like Loom. It'll take all the screenshots of where you clicked. It'll take your explanations and turn into instructions with the AI, and perfectly kind of integrated in visual and written instructions of what to do.
Wow, that sounds awesome. What's the best time saver you have that other people don't know you use?
Think of it as like the fundamentals of, I've been explored so many different tools and tried everything. I think 90% of tools that I tried out, I don't use anymore because I'm always looking to optimize, not necessarily add on. So I realized all like the two musts, my productivity just comes down to two tools and two tools only. It sounds very simple. Just Google Calendar, that is basically, it's a task that's related to time, and then Todoist, which is task related to that day. Those two essentially run my life. I have clarity about what my entire schedule looks like. I have my stuff that's tied to the time, so that's there. And then around those meetings and things is my Todoist stuff that's very clear. By the time I get to the day, I don't add on anything to my Todoist. For that day, it's already laid out. I think I showed it to you this morning. Like whatever you said that was there this morning is what I did. I don't really add anything else to my day besides that.
So how do you use your Todoist? Could you, I mean, would you be able to show me how you structure it? And is it collaborative? Like do you use it to assign tasks to people or tie it in some ways to meetings? Does it integrate with let's say your Google Calendar?
You can. I don't actually just today or yesterday they released their team feature, and they're, I guess, focusing hardcore to compete with Asana on Monday and stuff like that. And I actually brought it up to my directors today. I'm like, hey, do you really like Asana, or should we try this out? And they said Asana's good enough. I'm like, fine. But practically is to do this on your phone is where I do the most inputs. So as the day comes, one of my main buttons on my page is right here, Todoist. As the day comes, as you click on it, it basically brings it to a new task. And it has a natural language. So to say, review Facebook ads tomorrow. And as soon as I write tomorrow, it understands it's going to be pushed to tomorrow. If I say January 26th, it's going to be January 26th. If I say every Tuesday, it'll be every Tuesday. If I say every 3 days, it'll be every 3 days. If I say weekends, then it knows automatically it's Saturday, whatever. So just type it out. Also, if need be, actually not if need be, one of the things I also do is prioritize. So if it's normal, but if it's a main priority that I got to do that day, it's a P1, which turns into a red kind of thing. P2, P3. If need be, I don't get too fancy. You could categorize it if it's related. So like I say, for you, you have two companies, then you could tag it as so. So you can put two different places, even two different boards and all that stuff. And then, so throughout the day, as thoughts come to me, I'm writing them down. And then when I finally get to my computer in the morning, then I'm knocking them out. Bam, dang, 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 dang. And I always go through a checklist in my head. I always ask, well, usually I've said like 50% of them, it's basically something to be delegated. I just remember things that need to be done. That person is in charge. I try not to barrage them throughout the day. I try to do it in the morning in one shot. 4 things that I want to quickly, things that came to me since yesterday.
Do you use the reminders app on your phone, the iPhone reminders app, or no, you just have it? I'll do a lot of things that I'll say, remind me in 1 hour to call Sam, and then
yeah, that's for like,
and then boom, it's done. It's
that day reminders. Yeah. But ideally, if it's important enough, it should be in your calendar. That'd be the ideal place to be.
In your calendar or in your Todoist?
Your calendar.
My calendar.
Time related.
Because it's something to do, but it's not something to do at a specific time. Just something to do at some point today.
Good. It shouldn't be that way. That's kind of whimsically, and then that's where you fall into the trap. Like, let me just try to I have to make 4 calls today. Well, when I start putting it into my calendar, and I'm like really critical, because I'm like, is this important enough for me to take this call at 11 a.m.? And if it's just things that I got to do that day, then I'll add on. I keep adding on, and I'm gonna get overburdened. But if I force myself and I put in my calendar, I have a rule in my head, as you saw for this meeting. Like, I try not to have any calls and meetings until later in the evening. I used to teach about generating business. Then I started teaching about kind of hiring and delegating, all that stuff. But I realized that there's a whole framework behind this. And the framework is this. First is kind of like the end in mind. What is your vision? Basically, again, I'm kind of asking this for anybody who's watching this, is what's your ideal vision? What does that look like? You start off with a couple of sentences, but over time, you really want to add on to it. But what is that vision first? Second is, and I'm going to go through this relatively fast, and Alex, share this with you so you fill that out for yourself. Second is, how will this make you feel? AKA, what's your why? Like, why does this matter for you? So obviously it's going to be liberating. If I accomplish this vision, I feel happy, I feel free, be able to, have control of time, all that stuff. The other factor that we try to tap into is limiting beliefs. A lot of times we prevent ourselves from growing and where we want to be. So what are the limiting beliefs that we have at this point, which I'm sure a lot will open up as we go through these exercises, that we should be aware of? Well, I don't think anybody can do it better than me. I don't think anybody understands this big picture as well as me. I don't think anybody can do it as well as me. All these kind of things where it's kind of like we kind of place ourselves. So we want to get clear on those things. And then we basically try to tap into the changing belief system. And what we do is we flip the limiting beliefs. Whatever you say, we do the opposite, the reverse, the inverse, and vice versa. And we try to kind of meditate on this and try to really focus on this. And then the practical application of kind of what to do with this came from a book. I forgot the name of the book. It's not mine. Forgot the book name. But basically the idea is to get clear on what are the things you're doing on a daily basis. And this tasks that you do on a daily basis falls into 4 zones. The first zone being the drudgery zone, which is the stuff that you don't like doing and you're not really necessarily good at. I'm sure, Alex, this sounds familiar. It feels like a grind, whatever those things are. So usually with our lawyers, we give examples, and a lot of these kind of resonate with the same people, like following up on leads, doing the administrative stuff, calendaring, all this stuff that it's kind of tedious stuff that you don't necessarily want to deal with. So we write those down. Then there's the next level is the disinterest zone, which is stuff that you're good at, but you don't enjoy doing. Okay, you're good at it, but you just don't enjoy it. It just drains your energy. Answering emails, you could answer emails, but it doesn't really enjoy it. Filing, whatever that is. So we write those kinds of tasks down. Then there's the distraction zone, which is I think where most people fall on, which is the stuff that you like doing, but you're not necessarily good at, or you shouldn't be doing it because it's not a good use of your time. Kind of like updating your website, making constant changes, answering your emails, watching YouTube videos. Yeah, you like doing it, but it doesn't really lead to stuff that really moves the needle. So we write those down. But ultimately, the ultimate question, $1 million question is, what's your desired zone? The things that you're great at, that you thrive at, and at the same time you enjoy doing it. Even if you're not getting paid for it, you will do it. For some people, that could be creating systems and processes, recording videos, talking to different vendors so you could generate more business. Some people it's dealing with clients, some people it's being behind a computer. Everybody has different desired zones, but usually when you take some time to think about it, you're like, hey, these are the things that I really enjoy doing and I'm actually good at. So it comes down to first writing it down, being clear what those things are. Again, moving through this relatively quickly. The first thing we want to do is see if we can first delegate this out. Whatever that we have here that doesn't fall into the desired zone. Is there anybody that I already have first level? If not, can I possibly hire somebody to do those things? So we start kind of creating a list of those things that we can delegate. Well, what else? Those tasks that you can also automate. Usually it's easier sometimes to delegate first before you automate, or vice versa. For lawyers, these are the things that we can automate. So if you're doing any of these, let's see if we can automate it. Or the one that we miss, the easiest one, is to eliminate. A lot of times we just not do it and nothing changes. This might be the easiest, like low-hanging fruit. Just stop doing 20-30% of the stuff that you're doing right now, and life still moves on. So really, it's kind of like the framework that we basically want to follow. Kind of be very conscious of the stuff that we're doing, and then very seriously ask yourself, can this be delegated, automated, or eliminated? Honestly, I haven't seen a better system for kind of efficiency and productivity than this that I've seen. There's I don't think anybody can share any better system than this.